Okay, so this is your grad TA Charlie, and I'm using a desktop capture video for the first time in my life, and I'm going to try to explain to you guys how to deal with your growth curves, because I'm getting a lot of questions about them, and I realize it's a lot of data and probably pretty intimidating when you're looking at these Excel things and all you see is giant lists of numbers, and honestly they're pretty terrible. Looking at this, like, what is this? I don't even want to look at this. So I'm going to walk you through this. Some of you, and I'm going to do that for this group as well, actually have the mini graphs generated by the spectrophotometer. For those of you that don't and want it, let me know. I can go to the the classroom and grab the mini graphs. They look like this. This one's not the greatest example, but you can see the lines here. And this lets you see what grew and what didn't, just as a general overview. And I believe you can paste this into Word. Let's grab a different group. Maybe this one from my 30/20 class. Do they have it? Yes. So this one's a little bit more clear. The other one had more endpoint data. So if you have this was only 6 wells. You can just delete these. These don't pertain to you. So if you have this, you can just, if Excel will let you, highlight, left click, delete, shift cells left. So I'm going to try to paste this into Word to show you a little bit better. Copy this. And while Word is loading, I'm going to see if I can find the template that I had, which will outline what everything was, so that I can better let you know what each well represents. I'm not going to edit header. No. Okay, my computer's upset with me. Alright, that looks really terrible. So, link and keep source formatting is not the way you want to paste it. Let's try use destination styles. Also ugly. Alright, paste it as a picture, I guess. Alright. So if you paste it as a picture, it comes out not looking absolutely terrible. And then you can actually work with it. So let's see, will this allow me to write on here? No, okay, just recording. So one thing to remember is that each of these columns represents a different thing that you were testing. be it a different treatment or a different bacteria using the same treatment. So remember that each of those is a different condition. That's what you're looking at. So each column is a different 8-well strip. Each of these is a different well in the 8-well strip. So A through H, there's 8 of these. So 8 wells, 8-well strip going down. So let me make a little chart table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 by 2. My computer does not like desktop capture, apparently. It's acting strange. Okay. Here, well number. And I'm going to do I'm just going to add something here. This is just as an example. So don't think that you need to do this, but this is just so that I can illustrate for you what all of this represents. So we're going to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. All right, so we had bacterial control. And then we had another bacterial control. These should be the same thing, right? So here you inoculated your bacteria, and you wanted to see if your bacteria grew at all, like if they liked the medium, and you're comparing how your bacteria grew to how they performed in the treatment. Like with this group, they had growth in their treatment and none in their bacterial control, which I think is suspicious. So I wonder if they flipped these wells around. So that could be a possible source of error. So they need to go back and take a look at their growth curve data, look at the raw numbers, and see what actually happened there. So you should always have growth in wells A and B. And remember, everything's done in duplicates. Then we have treatment control 1 and treatment control 2. What's in your treatment control is you're making sure that your treatment isn't contaminated, such as your rosemary oil, your hand sanitizer, your garlic extract, what have you. You want to make sure that that isn't introducing bacteria. And then we have our media control 1 and media control 2. And that's just going to be your BHI, just straight, and you should not see growth in this because the BHI was autoclaved. And we want to make sure the BHI is not already got bacteria in it, which is going to skew your experiment. If your controls, if your treatment control or media control have growth, you have a problem. And then you need to very much scrutinize your other wells. So that's just making sure that your other data is valid. And then we have treatment 1 and treatment 2. Don't let treatment 1 and treatment 2 throw you off. So we're going to call it treatment replicate 1 and treatment replicate 2 so that you guys don't get confused. And I'm actually going to add something here. Should you see growth? All right. Yes. Yes. no. And if you don't understand why I'm saying yes or no, go back and read Module 3. If you see growth in your treatment, it depends if your treatment was effective. So is what you're proving effective if you see growth in your treatment replicate. So this is explaining the different wells. So hopefully this makes sense to you. This is literally just the chart that I was showing you guys from the slides from Module 3, where it tells you how much bacteria to add, how much BHI, how much treatment. Your total volume for each well should have been 200 microliters. And once again, this is the little overview thing. You can include this on your poster if you like, but if you just include this, I will take points off. You need further analysis than just this graph. All right, now to get to the actual graphing portion, just making sure this thing is still recording. Yes, okay, we're 11 minutes in. All right, this is going to be a long video. Super fun. All right, let's work with this group's growth curve data. I promised them I would make this a little bit more user-friendly, so let's go ahead and do that. So as you see, we have things like A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6. So they just did the first 6. Going back to this here, this is A1, this is A2, A3, A4, A5, A6. This is all a different condition. If you want all of the conditions for the same 8-well strip, you have to get everything in a group from A1, B1, C1, D1, E, F, G, and H1. For all the conditions for strip 2, you need A2, B2, C2, D2, E2, F2, G2, and H2, and so on and so forth. Now these don't correspond to the group's data that I'm going to show you. For them, I still need to get them this little chart. However, this is just an example. But I did promise them that I would make their data a little bit more user-friendly for them. Because I'm late giving them their data to work with. So here we go. So you want to start off, so first off, okay, so on the left-hand column you have time. I set this to run every 10 minutes for most of you. For them, it ran for 6 hours and 40 minutes. Some of you have a lot more data points because it ran for 18 hours. It just depended on how much time I had available with the spectrophotometer. It was ideal for 18 hours, but I did what I could. Okay, so we're going to click the plus button here at the bottom of the Excel sheet. And we're just going to put all of this on a new sheet. Okay, oh, I didn't want to do that. Okay, go back to sheet 1. I'm going to copy the time column. Just click down on A, Control C, Control V, time. You need that for your graph. All right. Sheet 1. Okay. So we're going to get A1, and we can unselect time somehow. Stop it. All right, Control Z. No. Whatever. Okay. Click on A1. Hold down Control. Click B1. Hold Control. Click C1. And you're just going to scroll and hold down Control before you click all the ones. Make sure you hold Control or it's going to unselect everything you literally just selected. Then click Control C, and all of these are highlighted as you can see. We're going to go to sheet 2. Here, Control V. So now you have everything. That's your first 8-well strip. So I actually pasted this up too high. So let's just highlight this whole thing. So don't paste yours in the first section. And we actually only need this, so I'm just going to Control X. I'm going to paste it down here, and I'm going to delete this because we don't need it. Delete. Oh. What was that? Okay. Oh, this group does have the ones. Okay. Never mind. I did give this group the 6 little... Okay. Okay, cool. I don't have to go to the lab early today. That makes me very happy. This also means I can give you guys a more solid example. Ha. Okay, cool. We're going to copy this. I'm going to get rid of this one. I'm going to paste it as a picture. No. Okay, I don't want this. Delete. Okay, so for this group, we would have to talk to them and ask what wells they actually put the treatment control in, or the treatment replicate in, and which wells they put the bacterial control in. And for some people, they flipped it just based on the orientation of the 8-well strips, because they didn't realize that the indented tabs had to go up. Because to me, it looks like the bacterial control is at the bottom and the treatment is at the top. Because there's no growth in these top ones except for number 3 and number 6, as you can see here, if I make this bigger. But there is growth consistently for all wells for G and H. So that would be consistent with G and H being bacterial controls and essentially A and B being treatments. Because you're always going to have, assuming your treatment is even the slightest bit effective, more growth in your bacterial control versus your treatment. So if you flipped around your wells, just label it differently. Okay? Okay. That's all you got to do. Usually in science, you would write this down as you're doing it, but you guys are learning. It's fine. All right, so this group, Lorena's group, it's here. You have it. Yay. I'm just going to delete this from your data. Delete. Shift cells up. I'm going to save this for the time being. Okay. We're going to label this. I might as well get rid of this because we don't need this right here. Okay? Now, let me So, we can make a new sheet if you want for each one to keep track of it more easily so that when we graph it, you know what's going on. So we have our time here, and here's all of this. So what did I say? So I said that it looked like A and B were actually treatment replicates, and G and H were bacterial controls. So this is how we're going to label this. Treatment replicate 1. And you're going to label this more specifically. Like if you did hand sanitizer, and if this were like, say, E. coli. Okay, let's do this. Like E. coli, treatment replicate 1. Right? But you would be like, you would put something like E. coli hand sanitizer replicate 1. Or E. coli treatment, or E. coli hand sanitizer treatment 1. E. coli treatment replicate 2. So everything else would then also flip if the entire thing is flipped. That means, so A and B are the treatment replicates, and C and D are the media controls. And you want to put what kind of media. So that's important. Then we have, remember this is flipped, so that means E and F are going to be treatment controls. If your chart looks and has growth in the normal way, you don't need to worry about flipping this. If your chart is normal, then you would have, for A1, you would have bacterial control 1. For B1, you would have bacterial control 2, treatment control 1, treatment control 2, media control 1, media control 2, treatment replicate 1, treatment replicate 2. Hopefully this doesn't confuse anybody. I feel like it will. But let's just move along. E. coli bacterial control 1. And what you're doing, essentially, you're not comparing absolute optical density. Because if you were, you would just take the optical density at the endpoint and then not worry about any of this other stuff. What you're going to worry about is the change in optical density overall. As we can see here, these are our initial optical densities. I'm going to highlight these. We go from 0.0 whatevers all the way to up to 0.739. That's a pretty high optical density, actually. So this is a large change in optical density. This means that these grew a lot. These didn't change 0.055 from 0.055, so we have no growth here. 0.058, 0.057, 0.058, 0.056, so this all stayed the same. 0.0172, 0.164, 0.095, 0.092, slight growth. So slight growth in the treatment. Now we're going to graph this. So highlight the whole thing, including the time, because time is going to be, it should be your, I believe it's going to be your y-axis. Let's see. You're going to go to Insert. You're going to go to Line Graph, 2D line. Nope. Time is your x-axis. Okay, I was wrong. Okay. So we have this right here. And this is what everything looks like. And because I labeled these right here, we have a nice labeled figure legend, not Series 1 or A1. I will take points off if you give me A1. That's not professional, and that doesn't look good. That's just terrible. So chart title. We're going to do E. coli treated with rosemary oil, for example. Not saying they did this, but that's what we're going to say this is. So here we have the treatments, and this is the bacterial controls. And what you can do is you can actually average these if you want to be the most scientifically correct. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. We're going to call this unaveraged replicates. Unaveraged. Okay, I can still spell. Is this still recording? Yes, 26 minutes. Beautiful. Okay. We want axes titles, very important. This was taken at 600 nanometers. So this is going to be optical density 600 nanometer. And this is going to be time. And let's see. Data labels. Oh no, we don't want that at all. You do not want a data table. What does trendline do? Okay, so a trend line will give you one line based on this, but we don't need a trend line. Grid lines are not a bad idea. Yeah, you know what? We're good. So this is fine. So I'm going to move this guy away. Scoot this over here. And if you want to average this, so I'm going to copy time. Control C, Control V. Fine. Copy paste areas are not the same size. Whatever. Okay. We're going to say E. coli treatment replicate averages. BHI media control averages. You know, we don't even need to put averages. E. coli treatment replicates. BHI media controls. Treatment controls. E. coli bacterial controls. Because it's implied that it's averaged. So, okay. So we're going to do we're going to go to, oh, this is a new version of Excel that I downloaded. This is going to be interesting. Okay, insert function. I'm going to do average. Okay. First number, we're going to click here to treatment replicate 1. And second number, we're going to treatment replicate 2. B7 to C7. Cool. Okay. So we get this averaged plus this averaged. So this plus this. Here. So we're averaging what I put in green with what I put in purple. Purple. These guys are getting averaged right here. So the formula knows to average these two columns. So if Excel works the way that I want it to, if I drag this down, it's going to continue averaging the columns B and C all the way down the table. Let's see if it does that. Yes. Perfect. So these columns, which, oops, I didn't want it to do that. These columns, so this green and this purple, are now averaged. So now we're going to do this with the media controls. So we're going to go back to formulas, insert function, average. I'm going to go to D7 for number 1, and for number 2, we're going to do E7. Click OK, and it's 0.0555. As you can see, it's a mix between the number 0.056 and 0.055. Cool. Drag this down all the way, and it's averaged. Pretty neat. So we got media controls. We're going to average treatment controls next. Insert function, average. Scoot this guy out of the way. Treatment control F7 to G7. Okay. That works. E. coli bacterial controls. Insert function, average. This gets repetitive. H7. And we're going to average I7. Cool. 1.04. Drag this down. We get this average. All right. Now, this is really what we want to graph. The other graph, great and dandy, but you want to average your replicates in science when you're doing a line graph. So really, the other graph, great, but I want to see averaged graphs. They make me happier. So, do this. Insert 2D line. Averaged treatment E. coli with rosemary oil. And notice you also have a much cleaner looking thing right here. This looks much better, much easier to read, less colors going on. This is just a much nicer graph to look at. And we want axes, titles. Our ODs are y-axis. So optical density, 600 nanometer. And time is our x-axis. So time and that is all you need for graphing. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Say you have multiple treatments with the same bacteria, and your media controls are all very similar. Your bacterial controls are all very similar, and you want to put the same treatments on the same graph. You can average all of your treatment controls on the same thing, or sorry, no. You can average, all of your media controls on the same thing, all of your bacterial controls on the same thing, and slap all of your treatments on the same graph and show the effectiveness of various treatments on the same graph. That, if anyone's interested in that, I can make that a separate video. But for now, this is going to be this video, and I will figure out how to upload this. And hopefully this answers a few questions about how to deal with this data. You can do this for each of yours. I would only put the ones that worked on your poster, and for the ones that didn't work, I would put that they didn't work, and I would put the starting and ending optical densities on your poster in chart form. I would also calculate the growth rate. Remember, it's in the log phase with that, not the growth rate, the generation time, the GT equation. That was a big issue. It's not growth rate, it's generation time. Growth rate is different. It's in the log phase, so it's like where it's exponential, like around here, of your organism, and then try to calculate how it changes. So like from around the same time point, even though this doesn't really have a log phase. Just choose 2 time points and try to see how the generation time changes. And I would include that in a chart form, the changes in generation time. So hopefully this answered some questions. If you have any more questions, let me know via email. I wish you the best of luck for your posters, and until next time.